Please join me now for a brief moment of centering and stilling ourselves as our time together begins. A deep inhale of divine breath, life-giving spirit, allows me to shift from going and doing to simply being in the fullness of this moment. I am in the presence of pure being. I am the presence of pure being. I feel into the presence of pure being as I still myself now. I allow all tension, all struggle, all fear and worry to fall away from me. As I release, I relax. Rest for a moment in this place of peace. Maybe lock in that feeling. An image comes to mind as I center. I see us all plugged into Source, just as we might plug in a cell phone at night. I affirm for us all, the inexhaustible source of spiritual energy ever available to me is filling me now. Each of us knows exactly what we most want to draw at this time. Watch and feel yourself filling up with that now. We end these moments with gratitude. Thanks for all the divine gifts given and received through this time of renewal and togetherness this morning. Thanks for nourishing moments of collective peace. Through renewal and intention, may we be blessings in ways both large and small. And so it is.
I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family. Come together, heart and soul, as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song, together in one song, together in one song.
Advance the clocks. Groggy at first. There is no spring in my step, no possibilities that I can see. But I do have another hour to keep my eyes ahead to days of flowers, birthed by freezing rain, buried deep in snow, pushed upward for me to see. That, yes, indeed, I can spring forward to another day, into a year of possibilities.
I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. That's it, sing out. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I
have a couple of wow-yours today that are in Spokane, getting ready and planning kids camp for the younger kids. So that's kind of exciting. And today is our Hospitality Sunday. So that helps send those kids that are in Spokane, as well as Rally that's coming up next month for our high schoolers. And so I just want to say thank you very much for all of your donations. We are celebrating St. Patrick's Day today for hospitality. So it's next Sunday, but we as Youth and Family decided it should be today. So it's today. So please join us in blessing our youth.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen. In the light, in the love, in the glory of God I am.
Well, thank you to the youth and all of the helpers that are back there in the kitchen who do our hospitality on this Sunday. They're so creative about it. Welcome, everyone, on Daylight Saving Sunday. You did it. You figured out just when to arrive. Good work. We were a little lighter. We were a little more intimate crowd at 9, but there was an energy about it because we felt so proud of ourselves for being here. I'm going to share a little hobby that I have with you, something I've done for a lot of years. I like to collect pictures that have spiritual meaning to me. With Cameron's help, I'm going to show you a couple. Actually, it's Madison's help this time around. This is one of them. When you stumble upon that little flower that's coming right up through concrete or asphalt, isn't it? It's breathtaking. To me, it says resilience, strength, tenacity. One of my latest little images that I am drawing from, is that of the aspen grove. And I stumbled upon the idea. It wasn't an image, but it was an idea that I read about in a book titled More Together Than Alone, written by Mark Nepo, a favorite author of mine. He talked about a trip he took to an aspen grove in New Mexico that was 200 square miles in area. And he taught about aspens. When you look at them from this angle, they look like individual trees, but they're actually one living organism. So this grove of 200 square miles is one living organism. Underground, they're interconnected by this set of roots, and it serves them very well. You know, those are pretty skinny little trees compared to some, but because they're together and they function as a unit, they have way more strength and resilience, say, in the wind. And then when the lightning comes and takes out a little bit of the grove, there's some kind of communication going on down there in that interconnected root system that says, we need nutrients over here because we need to build new shoots. And I just find this a powerful metaphor also for how inextricably knit, as Nepo says, how inextricably knit the life of the individual is with the life of community. And I like to come up with these names to name these pictures that move me. And I thought together, and then I came and I heard this new song that they were singing this morning. And strong together was one of the lines of that song, so it seemed like a good fit. I've been drawing a little strength from this image lately because when I've thought of doing something difficult, moving out of my comfort zone, which we get a lot of encouragement to do around here, this image just flashed into my head, and I feel myself as one of those trees. And then all of you are the other trees, and we're in this grove, and I feel as if I have a strength greater than my own to draw on. So thank you for being in my grove. Of course, The Unity in Lynnwood Grove is even more colorful than this. Those are beautiful colors, but we are many different colors, and we don't all look the same, and we're not the same size and shape. We have different characteristics and personalities, different backgrounds and preferences, and we like it this way. We honor our inclusive diversity. We are a fabulously colorful grove, and yet we root ourselves in common purpose here, our mission, to welcome each other and all people, to practice how to be in community harmoniously with others, to grow together. We're so glad you are here this morning, and I'm offering an invitation, a personal invitation, to come share in the refreshments after service over in the Friendship Hall and enjoy conversation, getting to know people a little better. As you've heard, Unity is a practical spirituality. Unity offers a few basic tools to help us put our beliefs into action, which is how we make spirituality practical, after all. Unity teaches affirmations, affirmative prayer, denial, meditation, to help us break old habits so we can hopefully do what we say we want to do. Denials can play a key role in this. I'm going to focus on denial for a minute this morning. Author Linda Martella Whitsett, who wrote the book, How to Pray Without Talking to God, writes about affirmations and denials. And she tells us that denials are a tool to help us move away from faulty beliefs, usually those beliefs that keep us stuck, seeing lack, our own lack, limitation. They help us move back to a higher truth. She suggests that an awful lot of what most of us believe we've really absorbed without much thought from family and culture around us. Especially it's true for children. They just don't have filters. And we did when we were young people. We soak it all up. So everyone has a bit of a store of these old faulty beliefs. Sometimes I find myself when I trip, when I watch myself or I hear myself say or do something that I really wish I hadn't said or done. And maybe some of you have done that once or twice. I would really prefer a less painful way, but those kinds of mistakes do help me stay in compassion for myself and for others. Linda Martella Whitsett would say that those negative and uncomfortable feelings are a clue. We can use them to find and correct those unconscious, faulty, limiting beliefs so that they don't keep us stuck. Around here, we have prayer support, whatever form of prayer. We have prayer support available to us whenever we want or need it. And on Sunday, our prayer chaplains will stay after service. You'll find them up here at the front, and they're honored to meet with people individually in prayer. Always, you can find a prayer slip in the back of the chair in front of you. If you fill out a prayer request there and slip it into the offering basket, our prayer chaplains can pray over those prayers for us during the week. Any day, any time of day, we can call the confidential prayer line and leave a prayer request there. That number's in the calendar. And also our website has prayer links for leaving prayer any time of day or night. And those of us who have now our Unity in Lynnwood app on our phone can quickly, with only a couple of clicks, get to the prayer request spot. So many ways. Don't hesitate to use this service. I do want to acknowledge the prayer chaplains who provide this service for us. Would they please stand if those are the folks wearing the purple stoles around their neck? And I just want to mention, too, today, having been a participant in the meditations that happen every service, half hour before service, that is a lovely service. Thank you, prayer chaplains, for that responsibility you do as well. On Sundays, we like to share an affirmation or a denial on an affirmation, so I will read today's for you, reminding us that affirmations are those statements of highest truth. while denials help us. When we think we see apparent contradiction from highest truth, those denials help us get back on track. So this is what today's denial and affirmation sounds like. I'll invite you to stand if you can, and we'll share it together. Though I might walk through that valley, I do not walk in fear. I walk in courage and faith. Please stand if that works for you, and we'll say it together. Though I might walk, I do not walk in fear. I walk in courage and in faith. So let's take a moment while we're on our feet and say good morning to each other.
I might be sleepy. I'm not certain. 2 times each year, we embark upon this grand experiment of clock changing and the thinking of being ahead of time or behind or moving forward or moving backward in time. It completely eludes me. I've never been able to really wrap my head around it. So twice a year we have a conversation, and it goes something like this. If I fail to move my clock, will I be early or will I be late? And the answer is yes, thank you. If I travel east or west, I have to ask someone with me if I'm hungry yet. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. I love Linda's words about welcome. I've been entertaining myself by writing an article about welcome. And in the article, I make the bold and counterintuitive assertion that welcome doesn't come naturally, that it requires awareness, that it requires intention, that we are tribing creatures who would love each other so deeply that we would come together and turn our backs to all would-be joiners. that in fact we have a deep, deep association with that which is new, with that which is dangerous, and that which is familiar, with that which is safe. So in a sense, welcome requires that we overcome that most primal self. That welcome requires us to be vulnerable, not comfortable, because it takes vulnerability to engage someone who is new to us and say, welcome, welcome. So find a face you don't know. Will you experiment with me? Find a face you don't know and say, welcome, I'm glad you're here. Welcome, I'm glad you're here. Oh, there he goes, making me uncomfortable again. Yes, I can spot those of you who have located imaginary people and are speaking. Oh, welcome. This is what happens when I might be sleepy, but I'm not sure, you see. Our small group ministry presents a number of offerings. What I would have you know is that you are welcome into any of them and all of them. This Wednesday evening is the first of our LGBTQ group meetings, facilitated by Laurel Hammer and Kay Miller. 7 o'clock here, and here to offer an invitation into next Sunday's men's group meeting is Mark Frederick. And tell me I said that right.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Mark Frederick, please. Men's group Mark, as I like to call you.
So why do this when I could just stand here and do this?
Well, I have some answers for you.
It doesn't fit into the program. I just thought I'd mess with him this morning, but he does the same. So my name is Mark Frederick, and we are in the process of getting some momentum in the train that left the station last month, but is going to make a stop next week on Sunday, and that is for all men who are wanting to create greater connection and depth and create new friendships and find support and put your roots down into that big, wide expanse of support that is there for you for the asking. So UIL's men's group is a group of guys who meet regularly and privately to help each other be the best they can be in every area of their life. The purpose of the group is twofold. The first is to build friendship, connection, and support. The second is to increase self-awareness and support for each other's quest for passion, joy, purpose, and spiritual fulfillment. So it will be next Sunday at approximately 12:30 after the 11 o'clock service, and all men are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to become a member of this evolving, unfolding idea, which we call Unity in Lynnwood, New Members Weekend is forthcoming. Join me or one who looks like me on Sunday, April 7th, following both services for an experience called The Basics of Unity. Understand the central history behind this movement we call Unity and the 5 tenets about which 87% of Unity leaders agree that's just really as good as it gets in Unity. That's followed by a Friday evening reception. You will meet your board of trustees, other joining members, staff, key leaders. That is on the Friday evening, the 12th, followed by new members Sunday on the 14th. You'll be welcomed during the service of your choice in a safe and meaningful ritual. Bring a chicken. No, no, no. No, it is safe and fun, I promise. Safe and fun. Practical spirituality, welcoming community, a short mission statement that speaks broad ideas. We support this with one of the 6 bullet points developed in conversation with your Board of Trustees beginning in late 2014. So take a deep breath yet again. Does this belong to you? It reads as follows. We welcome people from all spiritual traditions and from no spiritual tradition whatsoever into every activity of our community. Is that you? Yeah, that's me. That's me. How many Catholics are with us today? We are predominantly a Catholic community, and I'm so proud of that. I'm proud to be part of an intentional spiritual community that says, please, come be Catholic with us. And please come be Protestant with us, and come be Jewish with us. And we have no small number of people to whom I would say, please continue to come be agnostic with us and be atheist with us. Join in our conversation. I'm proud of that. But if you're Catholic, this morning might really belong to you. Might belong to you. 40. 40. It is absolutely my favorite number in the Judeo-Christian library. Now, if on another occasion I'm teaching about spiritual powers, well, 12 might become my favorite number in the Judeo-Christian library. If I'm talking about principles, 10 might become my favorite number in the Judeo-Christian library. If I'm teaching about the creative process, then don't be surprised if 7 becomes my favorite number in the Judeo-Christian library. But for today, 40. It's my favorite number in the Judeo-Christian library. And if you're like me with your post-Enlightenment mindset, 40 conjures a concrete number of widgets, a concrete number of people, a concrete number of degrees. I was beginning to wonder if I would ever feel 40 degrees again, by the way. A concrete number of days, a concrete number of years, and so forth. You see, if you're like me with your post-Enlightenment mindset, 40, all numbers really, 40 conjures something that can be measured on a scale or charted on a graph. But to approach 40 as set forth in the Judeo-Christian library with such a post-Enlightenment mindset is to rob ourselves of layers and layers and layers of wisdom which otherwise await our discovery. Think about it in context, and by now you know how important context is to me. For an individual deemed impure to become pure, a ritual bath containing some 40 measures of water would have been necessary. Should we be surprised then that for a world deemed impure, think of Cain and Abel now, for a world deemed impure to become pure, a ritual bath containing 40 days and 40 nights of water would have been necessary? Of course, I'm talking about the epic flood myth of Genesis. It's an epic that predates Genesis by many thousands of years, by the way. It appears in Judaism, of course, but it also appears in Hinduism and Islam and African and American Indian traditions, to name only a few. For Elijah to escape the evil queen for the mountain of God, a trek across the desert lasting some 40 days seems to have been required. For the emancipated Hebrew slaves to become a unified nation, another trek lasting some 40 years seems to have been required. And for their emancipator, of course, his name was Moses, for their emancipator to receive the so-called 10 Commandments, a stay on Mount Sinai lasting another 40 days seems to have been required, and let it not be lost on you that noble works usually follow periods spent in high places, but that's a different lesson for a different Sunday. According to the Talmud, one transitions from one level of wisdom to another level of wisdom at 40 years. Now that's good news for most of us in this room. And it's really, really good news for a few of us in this room. I'm just going to let you think about that. And of course, it was that itinerant Jewish healer and miracle worker, social change agent, that sand in the oyster of conventional wisdom, Jesus, who started his public ministry after retreating to the wilderness for, well done. So assuming a certain willingness on your part to seek a wisdom deeper than that which can be revealed by that post-enlightenment mindset that insists upon data that can be measured on a scale or charted on a graph, we arrive at the question of the morning, and that is, what exactly is this 40? And what does it mean to me? And I would suggest that whether we consider the journey of Moses or the journey of Elijah or the journey of the emancipated Hebrew slaves or the journey of Jesus, it seems that a journey of 40 is that period of whatever it takes to get from old life to new life. How we doing? This is not like your grandfather's Lent. But I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure you can relate to that journey of 40 days, 40 nights, 40 years between a world you once knew and a world that hadn't yet come to be. Sometimes the journey of 40 is initiated by a loss. If you have walked the transition of a loved one, and who among us has not walked that? If you have walked the transition of a loved one, you know about the journey of 40 from a world you once knew to a world that hadn't yet come to be. Into the sea you go. Sometimes the journey of 40 is initiated by a circumstance, a new job, a new diagnosis, a new lover, and there you go, backpack tied to the roof of the Subaru, barreling into the desert. Birkenstocks tapping to the music of Joan Baez. Flannel shirt tails flapping in the breeze. These are my Northwest references. Sometimes the journey of 40 is initiated by a calling, a tenacious dream, a deep desire. I would offer Martin Luther King Jr., certainly Rosa Parks, Harvey Milk, Stephen Hawking. Each of these noble souls certainly knew something about a journey of 40 initiated by a calling. People of the wilderness, we might say. And while the number 40 enjoys such a rich history as symbol, it was when early church leaders applied the symbol to or superimposed the symbol upon the 40 days preceding the resurrection story that Lent was born for those who call themselves Christians. And who can deny that the Easter story is yet another beautiful narrative of that period of whatever it takes to get from old life to new life. And when we consider imagery such as at sea, or in the desert, or in the wilderness, I think we can infer that the journey of 40, through whatever it takes to get from old life to new life, requires willingness and vulnerability. It requires courage and faith. Thank you, Linda Babin, for the morning affirmation. Marcus Borg spoke to this journey of 40 interpreted as Lent this way, and I quote, "Some of us may need to die to specific things in our lives, perhaps to a behavior that has become destructive or dysfunctional, perhaps to a relationship that has ended or gone bad, perhaps to an unresolved grief or to a stage in life that it's time to leave. Perhaps to our self-preoccupation or even to a deadness in our lives. Yes," he says, "it is possible to leave the land of the dead." So the journey of Lent is about being born again. It's about dying and rising, about mortality and transformation. And who of us doesn't yearn for this? Who of us doesn't yearn for a fuller connection to life? Who doesn't yearn for an identity that releases us from anxiety and self-preoccupation? To be born again, it seems to me, corresponds to our deepest yearning. May we, this Lent, experience that internal transformation that is at the center of the Christian life. May we experience being born again. End quote. So welcome to Lent 2019 at Unity in Lynnwood. Welcome to our exploration of that journey of 40, a journey described as that period of whatever it takes to get from old life to new life. It's an exploration of profound comfort. For in the end, its promise is that beyond the vulnerabilities of being at sea, being in the desert, being in the wilderness, the value of the journey will make itself known. We've prepared a Keep a True Lent booklet for you. If you would like one, you visit the welcome and information station and take it. It sets forth 40 days of, and let's just call them little assignments. It sets forth 40 days, such as last Wednesday's, and I quote, "Today I fast from dishonesty. Instead, I align my outer experience with my inner experience." Simple as that. Last Friday's reads as follows: "I fast from excuses. Instead, I assume full responsibility for my choices." Yeah, a few people looked down on that one, Nancy Joy. Yesterday's read as follows: "Today I fast from comparison. Instead, I acknowledge the uniqueness that I am." Does that apply to anyone except to me? Whew. Today I fast from comparison. So if you want to know tomorrow's assignment, well, grab the booklet. If you are in our online audience, just let your room host know that you would like the booklet, and we will send you an electronic copy. Now, whether we've pointed that Subaru, that cosmic Subaru, to the hills because of loss, because of circumstance, or because of calling, I like to think that the wisdom writings offer two tools that can support us in that willingness, in that vulnerability. Two tools that can support us in the courage and the faith that will be required Would you like to know what they are? You already know. I actually remember that she was here, but Linda's helping me. She was here. Thank you. Thank you. Now, the practice of fasting. Practice of fasting certainly isn't unique to Jews or Christians. Fasting is practiced by Buddhists, Muslims, Taoists, Jains, Hindus, and dieters. For us in Unity, we turn to the words of co-founder Charles Fillmore, who wrote, and I quote, "In fasting, we, as metaphysicians, abstain from error thinking and meditate upon spiritual truth until we incorporate it into the consciousness." And for us in Unity, prayer isn't a vehicle for getting a distant God to do something on our behalf. And for as long as we insist upon perpetuating the image of some bearded man on a cloud, we perpetuate the irresponsibility born of a universe imagined to be fickle. Or as I like to say, if principle has exceptions, it's not principle. So for us in Unity, prayer is a vehicle for attuning ourselves to the nature of that higher reality from which we emanate, that higher reality from which we cannot depart. Or prayer is a vehicle for attuning ourselves to the transcendent realities of life, of love, wisdom, of sufficiency, to the eternal nature and givingness of God itself. Or as we like to say, prayer doesn't change God. Prayer changes us. Now, this is the first in a series of lessons drawn from the book by the same title, Keep a True Lent. There are copies available in the spiritual gift shop at a 25% discount. It's also available free online. Now, Mr. Fillmore begins, and I quote, the Christian world. Ooh. Mr. Fillmore, who quoted Elmer Fudd, began... Mr. Fillmore, and I quote, "The Christian world is once again observing the Lenten season. It's commonly believed that the Lenten period has to do with the events of the 40 days preceding the resurrection. That's an erroneous idea. Lent is a church institution. The idea, however, has sound spiritual basis. Moses, Elijah, Jesus himself set a precedent for it. Each observed a 40-day period of prayer and fasting in preparation for a spiritual work." He continues, "When we withdraw our attention, interest, and support from the false and the unworthy, this is true fasting. And when we give that same attention, interest, and support to the enduring good, this is true prayer." I like to say that when we remind ourselves that we're not defined by the stuff of this world, we fast. And reminding ourselves that we're not defined by the stuff of this world is exactly what we'll do in the next 3 weeks.
Into your hands I commit my spirit.
When we remind ourselves that we are defined by the stuff of God, we pray. And reminding ourselves that we are defined by the stuff of God is exactly what we will do over the next 3 weeks.
Into your hands I soul.
So if you came here this morning thinking that another in a lifelong string of middle-aged guys was going to deny your chocolate, disallow your coffee, or discard your candy in the name of Jesus, relax. Because I'm not here to do that.
Into your hands I surrender.
But if you came here this morning thinking that I might defy your small ideas, dare your low estimations, and dispute your tenacious mediocrities, I say hold on tight, because that's exactly what I'm here to do.
Into your hands, oh Lord. I don't know what the divine plan is. I can't make sense of what I can't see. But I know that it's in order beyond my wildest dreams. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Into your hands I commit my soul. Into your hands I surrender. Into your hands, serenity is not the absence of life going on around me. It's the stillness I find at any moment, and the truth that sets me free. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Into your hands I commit my soul. Into your hands I surrender. Into your hands, oh Lord. Into your hands, oh Lord. Into your hands,
it was Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, who said there are truths that are relative, and there are truths that are absolute. So we stand at the threshold of a season. In which we shift our awareness, in which we shift our energy, our attention from that which is transient and relative to that which is enduring and true. We fast from that which is fleeting, and we pray by resting which is enduring. So as we prepare to reopen these earthly eyes, we do not abandon this consciousness. We do not abandon this frequency, if you will, but we bring it back. And it becomes the lens through which we see. It becomes the lens through which we speak, the lens through which we hear. It becomes the lens through which we engage with our sisters and brothers and the entirety of expressed life on planet Earth. And for the privilege of doing so, we allow a sense of gratitude to rise. And if this is an agreement, if this is a position with which you can align, let's close simply by saying, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Message and magical music and beautiful meditation. What a combo. That was lovely. My battery got recharged. We'll take a moment now to offer a chance to support this community through financial gifts, tithes, and love offerings. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, wrote on the topic of giving when he said, "The presence and the power of God in us expresses as our spiritual source and supply of good. Each person is blessed with a unique expression of highest good in the form of treasure and talent. This individual blessing of divine good is ultimately intended for the good of all. It is in the fellowship, congregation, and community that our gifts are best shared with others for the enabling, empowering, and blessing of all." We thank you for all gifts given today, both financial and gifts of service, and we acknowledge the online community for its presence and its gifts as well, which they sometimes do right on that Facebook webpage or online at unityinlynnwood.org.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Offering blessing, our affirmation of blessing this morning. God is my source, God is our source, and that source supports the evolving, unfolding, soul-stirring idea that is unity in Lynnwood in miraculous ways. Thank you, ushers, for your service this morning. We do make a little spot of time in our service to acknowledge if new people who might be among us for a first time. We don't like to put people on the spot, but we really do like to extend a personal welcome. And if you happen to be here for a first time, if you could just raise a hand, we'd know you're here and we could give a little special welcome in your direction. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. We do have a few things I'd like to bring your attention to just to get yourself oriented. You might have already spotted the newcomer's information card right in the back of the chair in front of you. And there is also a stay in touch card if you would like to know about the things that are happening here at Unity in Lynnwood and you would like to give us your contact information. That's a way we can stay in touch with you and let you know directly what's happening. It only results in a couple of email messages a month, and we don't share that information with anyone, so you won't be overwhelmed with information. And for anyone new or newish with us, and for anyone who's been here forever, please come to the Welcome and Information Station, take a look, be reminded of what's happening here, and see if there's something you'd like to sign up for. There are always many things happening, and it can be a little bit difficult to stay on top of it at all. Today's beautiful flowers are dedicated by Nadine Pierre. Happy birthday, Cheryl Jones. And they're just such a springy uplift. What a great choice. Beautiful. If you would like to offer a flower dedication, please register in the gift shop for a suggested donation of just $10. For March, Unity in Lynnwood's local humanitarian outreach ministry is accepting toiletry items in partnership with Trinity Lutheran Church. Grab a list of target items at the Welcome and Information Station. Should you choose to donate money instead of items, please indicate LHOM in the memo section on the check. Have you ever considered running for the Board of Trustees, or have you been curious about what exactly do these people do? Well, bring your questions and enjoy casual conversation with Unity in Lynnwood's trustees on Sunday, March 24th, following the 11 a.m. service. Everyone is welcome. Join us, please, on Saturday, March 30th at 7 p.m. for our third annual Unity in Lynnwood on Stage. Come and cheer your spiritual community members as they express their many talents. This promises to be a delightful evening, and those of you who have attended in the past have had, I believe, a lot of fun. And finally, all women are invited to join Karen Taylor Good and Stowe Daly for a healing pilgrimage of the heart. Rediscover the greatness that lies in the heart of every woman during Unity in Lynnwood's first women's retreat. Capacity has already been expanded to accommodate you. Registration is $99 and includes all food and materials. So these and all good things that are happening at Unity in Lynnwood can be found out about at our Welcome and Information Station and also in the calendar or online.
And I would like to take a quick second to thank Rosalie Bennett for these gorgeous flowers.
Oh,
she does
yes.
this every week. And for Tori Horseman, who was filling in for her while she was out of town. So thank you both. Next week, we will be joined by Grammy Award winner Eric Tingstad, so you don't want to miss him. If you'll join me, we'll sing our peace song.
When he mentioned Eric Tingstad, you went, ooh, so do you know this person? Is that it? You do? Okay, I didn't, but I figure, you know, by the time you have your own Pandora station, you have made it. I mean, I have soundscapes playing on the TV at home, and there's Eric Tingstad. But what occurred to me is what an amazing gesture of love and welcome that was. I mean, would we greet each other with that same sense of awe, that when I say Nancy Joy, we respond by saying, ooh, that when I introduce Tom, we, ooh, that when I speak of Jack and Angela, ooh, isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that a beautiful thing? Nancy Merrill, is Reverend Nina Clark with us today? She is not. You know what? Join me in celebrating. I do want you to know there'll be a party for Reverend Nina following both services next Sunday. She is in Kansas City and will return to our loving embrace on Friday. She has been involved in a series of rather daunting interviews, and Reverend Nina, at the very earliest possible juncture allowable by Unity law, was accepted with flying colors into the Unity Field Licensing Program. Oh, it is a tremendous honor. It's an honor for Lynnwood, it's an honor for Unity, and of course, it is an honor for Reverend Nina Clark. This will be her second ordination. I don't know where she gets it. Take a deep breath with me. If there is a first name you would like to introduce into this consciousness of love and support, just speak it now, please. So whether spoken with the human tongue or the human heart, we say, welcome, our hearts are open, our minds are open to all who have turned anything of a spiritual ear to this very conversation, any and all who find themselves on that journey of 40. Oh, on your behalf, we stand in all that we know God to be. We stand in life. We stand in an awareness of love, in an awareness of a wisdom that is ample, in the awareness of a sufficiency. This is the gift we give. We stand in the deep knowingness that at the end of the journey of 40, the value will reveal itself. So with great faith and boldness then, let us lift our voices and speak together these words of benediction. There is one power and one presence in, through, and around all creation. So we go forth as the eyes of divine love, as the tongues of divine wisdom, as the hands of divine sufficiency, and the bold and ready hearts of divine life. I'm still louder than you are. And the bold and ready hearts of divine life. Have a great week.